coming here. He's usually a pretty quality player.
Speaking of quality players, the Toronto Argonauts have signed Cedric Minter and an old teammate of yours, Keith Baker.
Yeah, listen, I think Keith Baker will help them. He's technically, as a receiver running pass patterns, he was one of the best I ever saw. Rhett Dawson, of course, was a great one, but Keith Baker technically is an excellent receiver.
And Cedric Minter should not hurt their cause either. Yeah. Robert Reed again from the 15, but this time he is dropped on a fine downfield tackle by Billy Jackson once again. And instead of being up around the 40 or 45-yard line, Jackson, because of that great open field tackle, was able to drop Reed back at the 30-yard line.
It's funny, you get an offside penalty on a kickoff cover team, and the coaches, of course, will say, now, come on, stay onside, don't go offside. But I always kind of liked that, because then I knew the guys were eager to get down there.
So Ottawa begins from just inside their 30. The handoff is to Robert Reed. I don't know how pleased he would be to get the handoff on that occasion. He's just finished returning 2 kickoffs, and then the next play they call is a running play to him.
Yeah, and he runs right into Gary Lewis's face mask in the backfield. Speaking of face masks, we talked about Scott Verkus earlier. Now, he's a wild-looking character. I wouldn't, you look through his white face mask, and you're glad he got the same color jersey on as you.
I thought Scott was a very nice-looking fellow. I'm going to protect myself. Oh, you can say whatever you want.
He's wild. He's a great football player, too.
It's 2nd down and 10. Flag is down. Renfro's pass picked off by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And this is Eddie Lowe. Eddie takes quite a hit, but he hangs on to the football and has it down to the 10-yard line. Well, the ball was deflected up in the air. It bounced off a couple of others.
65. Decline. First down.
Penalty was against Roger Catalan, so of course it is declined by Saskatchewan. They've got the ball deep in Ottawa territory.
Well, once again, another opportunity for Saskatchewan on a turnover. Tip ball. Eddie Lowe makes the interception, his 3rd of 1986. Wow, the Saskatchewan Roughriders last time took advantage of their opportunity, and here they're knocking on the door again.
Tell you one thing, Saskatchewan looks like they really want these 2 points tonight, and Ottawa looks like they just as soon be someplace else.
Well, they are a pretty darn good football team. They're just in the wrong conference.
From the 10-yard line, Quarles' pass is caught. And that's Bobby Johnson. Now, let's see where they spot this one. It's not going to be much of a gain, probably about 3 yards.
Now, he wanted to go to Ron Brown again on the deep fly pattern, the same one he scored the touchdown on, but good coverage by Darrell Hall forced the shorter pass to Bobby Johnson. He's the ideal back for the CFL, though, isn't he? Good, quick runner on the sweeps outside, catches the ball well.
Picked up 3 yards on that occasion. So make it 2nd down, 7 to go for the 1st down. And the ball was intended for Zeno, and he was there, except it was just slightly overthrown. And that is the first miss tonight by quarterback Bernard Quarles, who has used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate receivers in completing 9 of 10 passes.
Well, Dan Matheson told you that Henry Taylor, the middle linebacker, said they were running some picks. That time it was a good pick play, except Bernard Quarles was not able to connect.
So that means that Dave Ridgway will come out and try a 13.5-yard field goal. The thing that the thing the Western Roughriders are doing is every time that they get an opportunity, if they don't get the touchdown, they're at least picking up 3. As a result, they're now out in front of Ottawa by 13 points, and the Roughriders in the Eastern Conference don't look like they want any part of this group from the West tonight. Dan?
Well, the Ottawa Roughriders are concerned about Quarles, too, Pat. We're talking to linebacker Rick Sovieta, and he was telling us that they will blitz a lot more for the rest of this game on 1st and 2nd down.
Well, they got to do something because he's just standing back there picking them apart.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have an excellent offensive line. They've only given up 33 quarterback sacks this year, and that ranks 3rd in the CFL. And historically, in the last 10 years, that offensive line of theirs has been a good group, and they've won the award a couple of times for protecting their quarterback.
Tell you who's going to need oxygen in about another 30 seconds is Robert Reed from running back kickoffs.
Hey, he's happy to get the work. He's happy to be starting and touching the football.
Well, we'll see how happy he is if he runs into Billy Jackson again, because he cleaned his clock the last time the two met. All right, Robert, do your stuff. Reed again from the 13-yard line. And this time he gets it over the 30 to about the 33. And he'll be pleased that it wasn't Billy Jackson. Steve Crane, number 38, was down, and so too was Mark Ernest, 54. Joe Moss, I would think, would be just on the verge right now of getting ready to drill somebody. Because defeat does not rest lightly on that man's shoulders.
He's not your Bjorn Borg on the sidelines there. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, no question about that.
Renfro drops back. Pass is caught by Robert Reed. I just may throw away all of the charts and keep number 19's name in front of me, because Eddie Lowe was there to bring him down.
Well, Eddie Lowe had the interception and now makes a nice tackle on Robert Reed. You know, if there's one feature in the Canadian Football League, and we've talked about this before, I think the best feature of the whole league is their linebackers. There are so many good linebackers, right? You look at Saskatchewan now, they got Eddie Lowe, Billy Jackson, Dave Albright. That's a pretty good group. And they're just the great athletes, you know, just a little too small for the NFL, but perfect for here.
Second down and 13 yards to go. Renfro with a lot of time fires, but unfortunately Brad Caleb would have had to be Secretariat to catch up to that one. It was too far for him, and as a result the ball goes incomplete, and that is the end of the first quarter of play, with the Saskatchewan Roughriders out in front of their cousins from Ottawa, 13-0. We'll return with the second quarter in a moment. To start the second quarter of play, Ken Clark punted to Derek Zeno. A flag comes down as Zeno takes it over the 45 to the Saskatchewan 46-yard line, but it'll be coming back at least toward the Saskatchewan goal line.
Well, Derek Zeno last year in 1985 was second in the CFL in punt returns and second in kickoff returns. Boy, if Darnell Clash hadn't been hurt this year, he might have set a new record.
Illegal block. Saskatchewan number 27 on the run back. First down.
Glenn Suter was called for the illegal block as we take a look at what happened statistically in that first 15 minutes of play. Ottawa minus 6 yards total offense. You don't win a lot of football games with a statistic like that. 2 turnovers by the Roughriders as well. Both, well, one was a pass interception and then a fumble by Gilbert Renfro. Penalty flags come down. There was movement along that line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that's just a lack of discipline. Jeff Roberts is in the lineup tonight, number 79. He hasn't played for a while, and he's just, they've been jumpy a few times when the motion, you know, unlimited motion, they got to be used to it, but they're just not very disciplined right now.
Offside. Ottawa number 79.
Well, Jeff Roberts, as Lee pointed out, did jump offside. Again, let's congratulate the Edmonton Eskimos. Boy, what a football game that is going to be next Friday night that you'll see here on CTV at Commonwealth Stadium, and it'll be a battle for first place. Tickets, by the way, on sale in Edmonton tomorrow from 12 until 3 o'clock at the Eskimo box office. On first down, Bobby Thompson runs into Greg Walls at the 40-yard line, but he'll have a pickup of very close to 10 yards. Oh, excuse me, make that 5 yards because it was 1st and 5 from the 35. I mean, could you have believed that Edmonton would win a game in BC Place as decisively as they did? 32-3 the final score before a huge crowd. How disappointed those Lion fans must have been.
You know, I'll tell you, the teams around the league I think will be pretty happy about that Edmonton victory last night, because the word I get from talking to a lot of the players and other people is they've kind of had enough of BC. They feel they're a pretty cocky group, and I'm sure around the league they were happy to see them get knocked off last night.
Boy, I'll tell you, though, what a record Coach Don Matthews has had since moving there from the Edmonton Eskimos. And let me tell you, the fact that they lost last week doesn't assure anything this coming Friday.
No.
Because the Lions will always be tough in every game they're in.
Well, I like the way they are able to build for the future.
Joe Powell at quarterback coughs up the football, but they will rule he was down at the 25-yard line. Craig Walls, the newcomer from Indiana University, records his second sack of his CFL career in this, his second game.
Yeah, another refugee from the United States Football League, and that's his second sack since joining the Ottawa Roughriders, and a pretty important one because Ottawa needed something good to happen to them right now. They seem to be just going through the motions, and that might be the play that gets them a little fired up. I wouldn't be surprised to see a quarterbacking change too. Gil Renfrew just hasn't been able to get anything going. First punt of the ball game for Stan Gelbaugh.
It's an end-over-end kick that Reggie Butts will handle at his 38-yard line, and now he's back inside the 35 and is finally forced out by number 24, Joe Fuller. So Ottawa, instead of starting over their 40, are back at their 35, and they'll have the football when we return. Saskatchewan leads Ottawa 13-0. We'll be back in a moment. Look at head coach Jack Goda, and just moments ago his assistant coach George Brancato was there, and it seems strange to see them on the Saskatchewan sidelines because they both were head coaches for a number of years here with the Ottawa Roughriders. Right now, Ottawa trying desperately to get some offense going. Look at the comparison. Actually, those percentages should be reversed. Quarles is 90% and Renfro is 50%. And Renfro going deep, looking for Mark Lewis. Got his hands on the football, but he couldn't hang on. Funny, a friend of mine, Don Romani, who's a columnist with the Ottawa Herald, was telling me he was talking to head coach Frank Clare this week, and Frank feels the biggest difference in football today is the receivers don't catch.
Well, I mean, that's quite a comment to make, but I think, you know, Frank Clare might feel that today the emphasis is so strictly on speed that a lot of good receivers that maybe have good moves and good hands are simply overlooked because they don't have that 4.4 speed there.
That's a very astute observation. I think you're probably right. They'll overlook the guy's hands in order to go for the speed. Renfro's pass, boy, I mean, it was like a howitzer. It came in there so fast. Maybe that's why some wide receivers don't catch the football. Mark Lewis he couldn't have got his hands together if he'd been a robot.
Well, you know, Pat, though, in all fairness to Gil Renfro, when I was a wide receiver coming across the middle, I wanted that ball to be thrown as hard as he could. I wanted to get it as quickly as possible because you're getting in a heavy traffic area. You don't want to be catching a floater.
Well, there's only one thing, though. You played with guys like Ronnie Lancaster and Dave Marler. I mean, if you played with Gil Renfro, you wouldn't have a finger that didn't look like...
Dave Marler could throw the football.
Yeah. Could he throw it as hard as Gilbert Renfro?
I don't know. I know Ronnie could.
I was just going to say Ronnie could.
Clements couldn't.
This is Derek Zeno, and Zeno is over the 35 to the 36-yard line. And Saskatchewan will have the ball when we come back. They lead at 13-0 with 12:18 left in the second quarter. There's George Brancato. Georgie, of course, used to be famous for chewing ice cubes on the sidelines, but he doesn't have the same pressures now as an assistant coach. And, of course, Georgie's got a good deal. He's still being paid by the Ottawa Roughriders. And since he's not a head coach, and that was part of his deal, he could sign on with another club as an assistant coach, so he's grabbing 2 salaries. That's
I think this is the last year that arrangement continues, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. From the 36-yard line, it is first down for Saskatchewan. And on the handoff, Danny Ferdinand gets out over the 40 to the 41 before Ron Engelson, number 64, another Simon Fraser grad, was there to bring him down.
Pat, we've got a bit of a scoop for you down here in the sidelines. Pat, Nick Hebler has guaranteed that the Saskatchewan Roughriders are going to the playoffs this year. He said they will beat out Calgary. How's that for prediction?
Well, let me offer you some advice. Don't argue with Nick Hebler. Oh, Bernard Quarles throws just slightly behind the intended receiver. And as a result, Ron Brown wasn't able to bring it down, but Darrell Hall was able to bring him down.
You know what, though? Ron Brown did a nice job, though. When he went up in the air, he extended his hands out as far as he could to try and take the ball as quickly as possible. You know, a lot of receivers will let that thing come into their body, and you lose that fraction of a second. He wasn't able to make the catch, but technically that's the right thing to do.
Greg Marshall, the injured Ottawa Rough Rider, walking off the field under his own steam. As you look at Bernard Quarles, here's a look at that pass play again.
See the hands go out, though. That's what you've got to try and do, to take the ball as quickly as possible. But, you know, Nick Hebler's statement about making the playoffs, of course, with the new playoff format this year, there is some incentive for teams like Saskatchewan who find themselves a little better than the halfway point of the season in last place. They still have a shot.
Absolutely. With a victory tonight, they could move to within 1 point of Calgary. This is Reggie Butts. And Butts, who is the Ottawa wide receiver and punt returner, doesn't get much after a 32-yard point He just returns it 2 yards. Mark Ernest was down quickly, number 54. Roughriders will be at home to the Calgary Stampeders next Sunday. But before we talk about that, let me remind you that the 34th annual Rough Rider Dinner will take place Friday night at the Regina Center of the Arts. Art Donovan, the former Baltimore Colt defensive lineman, whom they tell me is a very funny after-dinner speaker, will be the speaker at the $250 a plate event. It's next Friday night. If you haven't got your tickets yet, there's still some available. Renfro with a good pass. Our penalty marker is down. Florindo Grilli was there to make the reception for Ottawa, but let's see what the penalty marker is about. Holding Ottawa.
You know, you talk about the Rough Rider dinner. When I played, started in 1974 as a player with them, it was the $100 a plate dinner. 12 years later, it's the $250 a plate dinner.
I think the first one was $10.
Ottawa number 63, first down over.
You probably went.
No, but you know, I'll tell you why I'm enthused about seeing this 1951 Ottawa team, which has reunited here in Ottawa for their 35th anniversary. That was the first Grey Cup game I ever went to, and it was held at Varsity Stadium. I can tell you exactly where I sat in the stadium.
Are you going to?
And strangely enough, they defeated the club that was then called the Regina Rough Riders. Little Utah shovel pass goes to Robert Reed, and Reed is out to the 44-yard line.
That was a nice-looking play by the Ottawa Rough Riders. Really need a spark at this point to get something going. Robert Reed just slides across. He's slotted to the right side. Little shovel pass. And 63, Bill Kidd, the new import center, gets a good block, spring him loose. And, boy, when you're 1st and 20 and you pick up 15 yards, that's a nice job.
So as Lee pointed out, it's now 2nd and 5. Ottawa, the ball at their 44. They trail by 13 points here in the second quarter. Renfro's pass was caught initially and then dropped by Mark Lewis. Boy, Renfro put that one in there nicely. Trent Bryant was there on the coverage, and he gave Lewis a pretty good hit and forced him to cough up the football.
You know, it's funny with some receivers. If they get off to a bit of a shaky start, sometimes they can never recover. I saw Mark Lewis earlier this year. He caught about 4 balls in a row on an opening drive. Looked sensational. Tonight, he had a chance to make a circus catch. A few plays ago down the sidelines. Couldn't make it. Across the middle, he dropped one, and now drops another easy one again.
Ken Clark will be punting for Ottawa on 3rd and 5. Derek Zeno is the only man back for Saskatchewan. And here come the Riders. Got it away, though. Zeno at his 24-yard line. And Derek doesn't get too far. Out to the 28, not much further. So that's where Bernard Quarles and that Saskatchewan offense will put it into play with 9 minutes and 30 seconds left to play in this second quarter.
Billy Jackson, number 45, almost blocked this punt by Ken Clark. Just missed by an inch. Or a centimeter now, I guess. Got to go metric. I don't know what the centimeter, 5 centimeters. What's that?
So there are the numbers on Bernard Quarles. You can see how impressive he has been tonight. This time he fires it down the middle. Oh, what an almost unbelievable catch was made by number 88, Tony Dennis. He almost caught it on the way down, but unfortunately he couldn't squeeze it.
Well, Bernard Quarles really got away with something here.
Yeah.
He was late delivering this football in, and had Mike McIntyre, number 39, broken on the ball just a little sooner, he could have had the interception. This is one he got away with. Boy, Tony Dennis almost made a circus job, though, didn't he?
It was a close one. 2nd and 10. Saskatchewan at their own 28. Flag is down. Bernard is 2 at the 41. That would be a first down, but you got to know it's holding against Saskatchewan. Bud Ulrich will tell us who the culprit was. That's a killer for Saskatchewan, because now instead of having a first down up over their 40.
Holding. Saskatchewan number 51. 2nd down over.
That's the newcomer Jeff Inglis, formerly of the Toronto Argonauts, who was traded to Saskatchewan this week for Gary Moten. He's called for holding, and the ball is put back at the 18-yard line, where instead of first down over the 40, it's now 2nd down and 22 yards to go. that not a terrific run or terrible defense or something when the Saskatchewan quarterback is able to run for more than 20 yards? As a matter of fact, credit Bernard Quarles with a 26-yard gallop.
Well, he's 6'2", 210 pounds, and we know he's a good runner, but, you know, second and long, Ottawa's playing conservative, sitting back in his own defense, only rushing 4 guys. The linebackers turn their heads, and they run deep back into a 15, 18-yard drop zone. So by the time Bernard gets ahead of steam, he's a tough guy to bring down. I think it's lousy defense myself.
Yeah, I do, too. I mean,
you got to play a little more pressure defense than that.
It's first down, Saskatchewan now from their 44. And this time Bernard has dropped probably a yard back from the line of scrimmage. Ron Engelson, who has been active tonight, was in on that tackle along with Greg Marshall.
Well, these guys in the front four, you see Ron Engelson, number 76, Lloyd Lewis, Greg Marshall, Jeff Roberts. They've got to get some pressure on Bernard Quarles. Dan Matheson told us earlier that they might blitz a little more. As yet, we've not seen that.
7 minutes and 10 seconds left to play in this second quarter. Saskatchewan leads the football game 13-0 and have a 2nd and 12 from their 42-yard line. Quarles floats this up, looking for Ron Brown, and the pass falls incomplete.
Yeah, it's tough to beat a zone deep. Once again, 2nd and long, Ottawa in a deep zone coverage. Darryl Hall's first responsibility in that kind of a coverage is not to let anything get behind him. No way Ron Brown was going to beat that zone. Well, there they are. You see Darryl Hall. He's in great position to play this football. Sees it all the way, and there's no way you can complete a pass. Good defense there. Very conservative, though.
Stan Gelbaugh, who is listed on the depth chart as the third-team quarterback, will stand back to punt now for Saskatchewan. Reggie Bucks on the run at the 36-yard line. We're going to have a no-yards penalty assessed against Saskatchewan. Number 24 for Saskatchewan, Joe Fuller, was down to make the tackle, but no yards will be the call, and Ottawa will have possession up around their 50-yard line. When we return, Ottawa trails Saskatchewan 13-0 with 6:39 left to play in this.
Saskatchewan number 24.
And as a result of that penalty, as you take a look at Mike Hudson, number 73 on the Ottawa sideline, and that Ottawa bench. Number 30 in your picture there was Mark Horvath, who was in for a couple of plays. Ottawa has possession at their 51-yard line. Gilbert Renfro throws. Mark Lewis comes back and makes the catch at the Saskatchewan 39-yard line. Now, there was a good effort by the Lincoln Locomotive's son, Mark Lewis, and he gives Ottawa their biggest gain of the night.
Well, he runs a deep comeback pattern to the inside, and that's what, see what he does? He gets Trent Bryant turned around thinking that he's going deep on a fly pattern, stops it, turns around, makes a good catch.
Well, it'll be unbelievable if Ottawa gets on the scoreboard here and closes to within 6 points, because, I mean, they've done nothing the entire half. Going deep, Renfro just beyond the hands of Brad Caleb. You have to be impressed with the throwing arm, though, of Gilbert Renfro.
Well, Eddie Ray Walker, number 2, came on a safety blitz, got an arm on him, but Renfro stepped up, and, boy, he does have a strong arm just out of the reach of Brad Caleb. See, that's the trouble. You got all receivers that are 5'9".
Yeah. No, that's true.
You know, at some point in time, it cost you a little bit, and those few inches cost them right there.
They're bringing in a big guy, though, Jerome Erdman. He's 5'9½".
Oh, well, he'll fit right in. I don't know if they got a uniform big enough. He's going to help that team, Jerome Erdman. You know?
Jerome's a good player.
Sure he is.
Poor old Gilbert there got completely caught up in the traffic, and Leafs pal Scott Burkus was there to bring him down.
Well, he had a couple of sacks last week in their tie against Hamilton. This is the new craze now, bang the helmets. I kind of like that one. That's better than high fives.
Now, Scott would like it, too. Like, he'll have...
Oh, no.
By the time this season is over, he'll have dents that'll make it look like a 1942 Dodge.
No. We got a team that we're going to announce later on, a mean and nasty team, and, boy, I think he might be able to get around on that one.
Scott's a good-sized young fella at 6'6", 285 pounds.
Oh, he hasn't missed any meals.
And because of his big play, we're going to see Dean Dorsey attempt a 52-yard field goal. Look at that second and field goal accuracy to Lance Chomick.
Yeah, he can make this
one. Toronto Argonauts. Oh, Dean, listen, I believe Dean could make it from anywhere on the field. is good. Dean Dorsey is such a terrific clutch performer that he could play on any team that I would ever be associated with. He comes through with a 52-yard field goal, and there was never any doubt about it, just as there was no doubt last week in Montreal when his field goal won the ball game for Ottawa.
And he's a first-class guy, too. University of Toronto. Dean Dorsey tried out with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, couldn't unlodge Bernie Ruoff, found a home in Ottawa, and boy, are they fortunate they were able to get him.
Well, that 52-yarder is the longest one of the season for Dean Dorsey. Previously, his long one had been 49 yards, and I'm just looking to see. Joe Poplawski has one 45 yards, but somebody who had a 53-yarder, as I recall, J.T. Hay of Calgary had a 53-yarder. That's the longest one, I believe, of the season.
Now, when Scott Osbaldiston